Letter number 6. Violence in Gaza. In October 2003, mid-morning on the road running south from the primary crossing between Israel and the Gaza Strip, a road bomb detonated beneath an SUV carrying contract security personnel who routinely accompany USAID officials moving in the occupied territories. 3 Americans died, and a 4th was seriously injured. News stories reported that USAID employees were headed into Gaza to interview potential Fulbright scholarship recipients. Immediately, a directive from USAID barred its officials and contract personnel like me from Gaza altogether, and curtailed sharply travel in the occupied West Bank. Among my Palestinian colleagues, there was much discussion in the following days about what had taken place. First of all, the episode was unprecedented. No Americans had been attacked in the years in which U.S. aid had been extended to the Palestinian Authority and NGO groups in the region. On the other hand, a USAID official in Jordan had earlier been assassinated in cold blood, with strong signs it was the work of Al-Qaeda. Some offered the view that the U.S. had not been specifically targeted. Naturally, the vehicles carry no external markings. Moreover, since the bombing took place in broad daylight, the trap could have been laid during the preceding night hours, to be executed by a remote control device or wires strung to a hiding spot near the roadside. Youths could have carried out the final act of setting off the explosives, individuals who might not have adequately defined their target. USAID contract personnel expressed concern that the travel restrictions could become permanent, or worse, that the attack could lead to major changes in policy regarding U.S. aid to the Palestinians. In a different setting in 1997, under similar circumstances, the U.S. State Department elected to withdraw all aid from Cambodia, excepting humanitarian, that is, all aid, but that related to health, nutrition, medicine, and the like. Supposedly this option was under study. During the early months of 2002, when there had been a flurry of suicide attacks, followed by the Israeli sieges against Nablus, Ramallah, Jenin, and other West Bank cities, some powerful voices in Congress called openly for terminating all aid to the Palestinian Authority. Word had it that Secretary of State Colin Powell interceded personally to halt the move. Would he be overruled this time? By the second week of November, denial of access to Gaza was relaxed. I made arrangements to visit the ministry with which we coordinated our work. The practice at the crossing was the same as ever. After a 90-minute drive from Jerusalem, the project's driver parked in a deserted lot. Together with my Palestinian colleague, the driver remained with the auto, I walked to a guard bunker where a pair of Israeli soldiers, a young woman and a male wearing a ponytail, checked my passport. It was a routine I had followed at least a dozen times over 18 months of coming to Gaza. My first experience at this crosspoint had been in 1987. Then the atmosphere was vividly chaotic. But by 2002, a huge bureaucratic center had been installed, equipped to handle up to 30,000 crossings daily, mostly Palestinian workers headed into Israel. A quarter-mile shed, covered to shield against the elements during the hours of processing, extends along one side. 3 large bays to accommodate buses, with pits permitting inspectors to walk beneath the vehicles, stand in the middle of the checkpoint. Past the guard station is an oblong structure probably 100 feet from end to end. This is where so-called VIP transits are cleared. At a computer-equipped desk, one's identification, whether foreign or Palestinian, is compared against a list of approved names. Business can usually be managed in English. It was not unusual, I discovered, to overhear the IDF soldiers conversing in Russian. Though the Palestinian accompanying me speaks Hebrew, he said he would not use it with the Israelis. They are working at a crossing. Why don't they learn Arabic? Passing through a metal detector, we left the building. Since 2000, with the onset of the Second Intifada, except for a tantalizing few instances when great numbers of Palestinians take advantage of a rare opportunity to cross. The passage has been completely closed. In response to critics, the Israelis have been quick to note that no suicide attackers have originated from inside Gaza. Beyond the VIP Center, the crossing resembles a scene from Kafka, rendered in Orson Welles' Black and Whites. Each time, making the journey from Israel into Gaza, I had to walk a distance of 4 football fields along a broad roadway totally devoid of vehicles or other humans. Concrete barriers and concertina wire outline traffic lanes for unseen trucks and autos. I wanted to photograph the eerie desolation, but refrained for fear of drawing unwanted attention. At the end of our trek, IDF soldiers at a second bunker collected slips of paper issued at the computer station. We then traveled a short, barbed-wired space to another fortified bunker, this one controlled by the Palestinian Authority. Somber Israeli vigilance was matched by Palestinian nonchalance. A hired driver arranged by a telephone call from Jerusalem spotted our arrival from afar. He drove to meet us, saving us another quarter-mile walk to a PA office. There the driver also handled the paperwork for our entry into Palestinian Authority jurisdiction. About 3 minutes into the trip to Gaza City, the man said we were passing over the place in the road where the October bomb had exploded. On Wednesday, January 14, 2004, the New Year's first suicide attack targeted the Gaza checkpoint. A 22-year-old woman named Reem al-Rayashi, assisted by Hamas, strapped a pack of explosives to her leg. She told the Israeli guards she had a metal plate from an injury. In the midst of taking her to an area where she could be examined privately, al-Rayashi set off the bomb. She and 4 Israelis died. The news photo shows a tangled false ceiling, a counter strewn with twisted debris, and in the foreground, 2 jumbled computer monitors.